The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Welcome to Wilfred Watches Podcast, an American podcast about professional wrestling. First, want to say a huge thanks to all of my Patreons who are supporting the show. Absolute love you all. Thank you very much. I have a very special guest today. He is a young legend. He's a posh dick. He's on his way to being the person you wish you knew about a lot sooner. He's got a big match against Car Noir at Resurgence in March. He's got progress by the balls right now, and his name is Spike Trivet.
Hello, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, man. Thanks for joining.
No worries, thanks for having me. You really sprung into... really sprung into presenter mode. Not that you weren't affable and pleasant before we went on. You absolutely were. But you really sprung into so much energy. I was like, "Wow, I'm pumped! I'm so pumped now." And it's like 9:00 where I am, and I'm jacked now. Crazy.
It is 3:00 in San Antonio, and it's a lovely afternoon. And I'm really honored to be chatting with Spike Trivet, dude. You've been killing it lately.
Thanks, man. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thanks very much. That's very kind of you to say.
I think I emailed you a couple months back, and you got back to me, and just a really big name that I always wanted to get. Like we were talking before on air, I was just a big fan of British wrestling. I just kind of follow where the really hot wrestling is, and try to keep tabs on it. So have you ever been on a podcast or show with a Yank before?
No, I've never done a podcast. So are you in the right part of America to call someone a Yank and it not be offensive? There was an American boy who went to my school and I called him a Yank and he literally drop kicked me across the room for it. I think he was from... I'm in a
very liberal, progressive San Antonio metroplex, so yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, okay. I don't know where he was. I think he was from the South. I think he was from the South.
The South is a little feisty at times.
He literally threw across the room and kicked me in the head for calling him a Yank, and I was like, oh. And that was 20. No, that was, when was that? I must have been 12. That was 17 years ago, and I still remember it. I'm still scared of it. So there you go.
No, dude, you're loved over here, man.
Oh, great.
Whenever I tell people about stars or people they need to keep an eye on, I always mention Spike Trivet, Chris Ridgway, Kyle Fletcher, just some of the really, really cool names that so you're always in the conversation, mate.
Well, that's cool, man. Thank you.
I might as well ask you this question now. How did you get into doing some death matches? Was that just necessity because you needed to get on the card, or are you a masochist and really enjoy it?
It's a bit of, well, it's I was going to say it's a bit of both. It's not quite both. It's more like there was kind of a morbid fascination with it. Mm-hmm. I was just kind of morbidly fascinated with it, and then there was a night where the plan was I was going to win the championship of a promotion called Anarchy Pro in the UK, which is like a chaotic deathmatch promotion. They also do it's not, I think a lot of people think it's a deathmatch promotion. It's not a deathmatch promotion. It's a promotion that plays on, if you're a first time wrestling fan, I would say that Anarchy Pro is probably not the place for you, because it kind of plays on the conventions of wrestling and stuff, and it's kind of chaotic. But and they do, TK Cooper and Chris Brooks did a match there once that was entirely based around a pillow fight, and
Yeah,
And,
I just had Sam from Resurgence on the last episode, and of
I
course
listened to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
Artcore and had TK Cooper on recently too. So yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big fan, dude. But the death matches are not everybody's taste, like you said. That's
No, they're not. No,
it's a little terrifying.
But it was part of, so like the death matches were kind of a part of, they're definitely a part of that promotion, and the plan was essentially for me to win the championship that night from Jimmy Havoc. But like a couple of things happened. The person that I was meant to wrestle for some reason wasn't for whatever reason wasn't able to make the show. And that was meant to be for like a cash-in briefcase, and then Jimmy hurt his knee the night before, weirdly just literally doing a tech match with a British legend, I think, like, called Johnny Kidd, and I think he literally just twisted his knee, and he wasn't, and so it just meant, and he was meant to do this no rope barbed wire death match, and with Clint Margera, who's also awesome, particularly that stuff, and then and the way and I was meant to just sort of cash in, and the idea was that I was kind of meant to be the antithesis of that. So Jimmy's obviously this like amazing wrestler and has amazing psychology for the business, but also is this, you know, is like a deathmatch legend. And the idea was that I was gonna take the belt from him, and that I was gonna be the complete opposite of that, and that's what it was gonna be. And I was gonna be like, I'm the deathmatch champion, but then because they needed to get the belt on me that night, the promoter didn't put any pressure on me at all, but simply just like, this is the simplest and fastest way of doing it, is for you to run in on Jimmy while he's doing an announcement, take it off him, say that you paid the person that you were wrestling not to be here, and then do the match in the evening. Because if you don't do the match in the evening, I don't really have a draw. I can't tell people that this no ropes barbed wire death match is not happening when it was the biggest draw. So, you know, will you do it? And I was just like, yeah, okay. And so I did it. And the thing is, it's really funny. Like, if you, particularly in this country, I imagine if you do one death match, then all of a sudden that's it, you're kind of associated with that. Like,
the roster's a little small when it comes to people who do death matches. It's less people.
Yeah, well, and people get associated with, like, Paul Robinson has very famously said that, like, he has a reputation in England, like, people are like, oh yeah, he'd be good in like a hardcore division, and and he's like, I'm a villain and like a world. He never says this, but like, I'm saying it, like, and he's also like, you know, he's a world class high flyer. He's only ever done 2 death matches in his entire career, and he's been wrestling for over triple the time I have. You know, like, and he's only ever done 2, but he has this like weird. It's just odd, and then you get this reputation, and then one person, and then another promotion wants you for it, and and it just keeps going. And I also just thought it was a nice image. I've said this before, and to people, like, I just thought it was a great image. I just thought the rest of the deathmatch and hardcore division across the country, across the world, are all grungy, and, you know, they're all ripped jeans and, you know, gothic, and, you know, this, that, and the other, and none of them look like me. None of them dress like me. None of them wear the things that I wear. And I just thought it was such a lovely image, so terrifying. This guy who's just dressed to the fucking nines, in like a tailcoat suit, white tie, all of this stuff, and he's got his gloves on, and it's just like, what are you gonna do? And then it turns out he's like a bigger nutcase than the rest of them.
Yeah, when I first saw you in, I think it was like a national progression match or something in progress. It was a lower card match, and I saw your attire, and I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, I totally bought into it very quickly. I was I was like, what is he doing? Where's his wrestling attire? She's such a dick. I hate it. I totally bought into it. It was brilliant. So where did your idea of like the whole attire come from? I've heard you talk in the past about your kind of background in Essex of coming up, and were you in drama or art or some sort of performance art before?
I was a professional actor. So I was born I was born in Cambridge, and I grew up there, and I went to a drama foundation course there, and I went to drama school. And when I kind of fucked off the idea of becoming a wrestler, it was when I was a kid, or like a young boy. I was just always going to be an actor, and I just pursued that all the way through. So I was just an actor, and sometimes director, and a deviser, all the way up until I was 26. But yeah, that was my drama. That was my acting background. But the attire just came from. Originally, I had wrestling tights. They were just like maroon wrestling tights, and I had this like striped blazer. But I just wrestled in the wrestling tights and a shirt and shirtless. What happened? There was one match where I forgot. I forgot my gear. I think that's what happened. I think I forgot my gear. And it was a Riptide show, and I was wrestling Damon Moser. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I don't know why I had them. I think we were staying the night over. But I had a pair of chinos in my bag. And then I thought, oh fuck it, I'll just have to wear these. Like, these are close enough. And I thought I still had all my boots and stuff. I just forgotten my tights like a knobhead. And then I just decided to wear them, and they just got such a reaction. I got this chinos chant that went on for ages, and I got so much like reaction for it and so much heat for it. And I just kind of thought like, I'm getting more reaction. I've walked to the ring, and I'm stood here opposite my opponent, and I'm getting more sound. I'm getting more reaction. I'm getting all this reaction, and I haven't even fucking done anything. I've not taken a bump yet. I've not. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I've not done anything yet.
Especially in an environment like Riptide down in Brighton, in that very, very intimate.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me to another good question that my friend Archie fielded to me. He said, because Archie, he's been to Progress, he's been to Riptide, and he says, how do you deal with like uber loud crowds like at Riptide Attack, where it's very small and intimate setting?
How do you deal with them?
Yeah, like how do you deal with those crowds? Like how do you assess that? How do you interpret it? How do you react to those crowds? Like how do you handle?
That's a really interesting.
Yeah.
Well done, Archie. That's a very interesting question. How do you react to? How do you deal with them?
Is it just instinctual? Like do you hear something and just kind of you jump on it right away, or? I tend to.
I'm a bit. I don't know. For me, it's more like I just can't help myself. So if somebody, and I just can't really help myself. I'm not. Somebody says something to me, and I just instinctively will have something pop into my head, and I'll just say it back, and I don't ever think like, oh, this will get a great reaction or whatever. I just sort of can't help but not react. And then I just sort of react, and then I don't know why, it just always gets a good reaction. It's really odd because my entire life, I've never been considered quick-witted. I'm not a quick-witted person. I'm not like out in the world. I've never been quick-witted. I've always been awful socially in terms of like, I've been terrible. I mean, I have a girlfriend now, so it doesn't matter. But like, I've always been terrible at talking to women. Like, I've been terrible at making friends and like at first making people laugh. Like, I'm very slow-witted and I'm very awkward, but for some reason it's just always been this way. For some reason, if you put me on a stage or you put me in front of a crowd, it just all goes away, and all of a sudden this completely different person appears, and that person is quick. That person's quick and doesn't get nervous, and it's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. I'm so much more comfortable in front of 300 people than I am in front of one. I'm much more comfortable in front of 300 to 700 to 2,000 to 5,000 strangers than I am in front of, a one.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really odd. But so in terms of dealing with them, like, that's just really it. They just talk and I just react, and sometimes you can feel it. Sometimes you can feel it and you're like, oh, if I could just let this run. Like sometimes you're like, I could just let this run, and I do remember once, this happened on a couple of shows. I do remember, and now it happens all the time. There's always a moment sometimes where you can feel it and you're like, oh, if I let this run, this will carry on for a long time, and then there's no way this promoter can't have me back. Like,
right.
Or there's no way that this person, you're just like, oh, like, I really hope that person I asked to film this match is filming this right now. Because there's no, and they just go, and then sometimes you don't have time, so you just have to fuck it off. So sometimes you can kind of feel them rising, and then you have to be like, no, like, and talk over them and stop it from happening. You get used to it.
So my buddy Luke.
Sorry, that's long-winded.
No, that's typical of you, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it is a bit. Yeah,
you do talk a bit, which I love. So thank you. I don't have to have any filler time. So thank you.
Oh, cool.
So my buddy Luke, who does a show, Omega Luke Podcast, he says, for someone who is as good on the mic as Spike, I'd like to know whether he always found it natural, which is what we're kind of talking about, or if you've worked on it for a few years and if you still practice before promos. So I guess you can kind of incorporate it with your drama background. Do you still kind of practice routines? Like your promo that you filmed for No Future Dates was huge. That was simple, concise,
weird, right?
And honest. You know what I mean? That's what people like. So do you practice that? Or does it just come out and boom, just record?
No. It depends. Like, but I can learn scripts and stuff like that. But like No Future Dates, for example, that was entirely me, and that was just. Yeah, that was pretty much just. I live with the guy who does the social media for Progress, and I live with him, and I was trying to put a tweet out about the match that I had to that day, which was me and Drew Parker versus Eddie and Mark. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying to write sort of like a tweet with the picture and make it interesting, and I couldn't find a way of doing it, and I just gave it to, his name's Adam, and I just gave it to Adam, and I said, what's a good way of writing this out quickly? And he was like, it's too long, like you can't do it. And he was like, if it's gonna be that, you might as well say it. And I was like, oh yeah. So then we got to the venue, and then he was like, do you want to do it? I haven't got anything to do for about 20 minutes. And I was like, no, I've got nothing to do either. Should we just go do it? And then we just walked around the corner, and then we just literally just walked around the corner, and he pressed go, and then we just did it.
It was brilliant. By the way, I loved how honest it was, and just how concise, and yeah, that would have been a tweet that not enough people would have seen probably. So
yeah, I don't think it would have, but it's more like from my times when I was an actor. Like there's a rhythm in my body. It's a thing that I feel like, and it's kind of a thing that I get scared of losing. So not like in life, but like something will happen and I will feel the rhythm of it, and then I'll be like, oh no, I have to do this promo right now. And and I've had people who are like, I need to do this promo now, I can feel it, I've got to do it now. And and I've had bit with promoters like, we haven't got time now, we have to do it later. And I'm like, if you do it later, it's not going to be as good as it is now. I promise you, it's not going to be as good as it is now. And then later they'll be like, okay, we can do that promo, and I'll be like, it's gone. Like I can't, and I'll still do it, but I'll be like, obviously because I'm not an arsehole, but like I'll still do it, but I'll just be like, it's gone. Do you know what I mean? It's about like a rhythm. Like when we did it on the street, we did it one time, and I was like, we did it fine, and I was like, oh, it could be better. And then we had about 9 takes where I was just running back and forth through the thing, and I was like, something would go wrong, or someone would walk through the shot or something, yeah. And I'd be like, I'd be saying it, and I'd be like, skip over my words. And then he'd be like, oh, okay, no, and then go to reset, and I'd be like, no, don't turn it off, and then just run round the corner again. Do you know what I mean? Don't turn it off, don't turn it off, don't turn it off. Are you still going? And he was like, yeah, and I was like, right, good, boom, and then we just walked around and did it again. So it doesn't. No, I don't really plan them that much. I think about them a bit, but I don't really plan them. They're more kind of just. They're more just sort of. They just come off. They just sort of come off the top of my head. And I've been acting for 20 years.
So parts of that is just natural. So that's part of it's just kind of in your system now, and just comes to you.
Yeah.
So
I've been acting since I was. I've been acting for 23 years. So I was performing for 23 years. So like it's one of those things that like, you know, it's definitely not something that's like I was born with or something that has happened overnight and stuff. And you know, it's like any skill. It's just taken me. It's taken hours and hours of work. It's just now I just have it in my body, you know, and hopefully one day wrestling will be the same.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're getting there very quickly, man. So here comes the Theresa May question. So get ready.
Okay.
So Brexit is a thing. If you're listening to this and you don't know what that is, basically they want to. They voted to fuck off and get out of European Union, and now there's a lot of hurdles and yada yada. So you took full advantage of this last year by dressing as Theresa May at a show, which was peculiar.
Yeah.
So was this more of like striking while the iron was hot, or were you like fulfilling your inner cosplay fantasy?
No, I just thought it was funny. It was going to be like the second time I ever wrestled for Attack. If you don't know, anyone doesn't know what Attack is. Like Attack is,
it's very fun, kind of very.
It's a very fun, like goofy, wacky promotion. But it was started by Pete Dunne, and people like Pete Dunne. It was started by like Pete Dunne, and it was this other guy who's the announcer called Jim Lee, and you know, and like Eddie Dennis, Mark Andrews, all of those people, they originated there, you know, like, or it's like their creation, and now they look after it from afar, and you know, and sometimes very close up, and they do like wacky stuff, and like and every year at Halloween they do a show that's called the Goosebump Show, and then that's when everybody dresses up, and they invited me to come and just be part of it, and because I think loads of their people, because now they're all amazing, and now all of them are signed.
Yeah, really.
So they were all away doing filming, and they invited me to come be part of it because they know that because they know I don't, you know, I'm up for a bit of silliness, and I just thought. Well, originally it was going to be zombie Theresa May.
Oh God!
It was just going to be a zombie Theresa May. I just thought it'd be really funny. And then there was just this really funny meme that happened where I don't know what she was doing, but there's this Theresa May, and I think she's. I don't want to say where it is because I don't know, but I think it's an African country. And
it was where she broke it down and did a little dance, right?
Yeah. And I don't know where it was. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was an African country, and she was, and she did a little dance, and I think she was just. I think I imagine somebody had said to her like, you know, you need to look more accessible. You need to look more like a human being. So she did a little dance and just made herself look ridiculous because she can't dance. And then somebody made a meme of her doing it to Dancing Queen. And then she claimed it back by entering a Tory conservative conference. Then she strutted out to Dancing Queen, so she reclaimed it, and then I claimed it back.
That's one interpretation.
And I thought, yeah, and I thought that's hilarious. Like, I'll just do that. And then not only that, like I then like wrestled as dancing Theresa May. So like, I totally like fucked off all of my own offense, and everything was based around dancing. And I really wanted to. I think we could get. I don't know why we didn't do it. I really wanted to block a series of strikes with the Macarena. I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't get that in. I think it's because it's someone else's spot, and I didn't want to steal it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sadly, but it was just hilarious, and everybody backstage was. I was in the costume, and everybody backstage was just like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, I was definitely retweeting that picture a few times and giving you some shit.
Awesome.
It was too funny.
Yeah.
It was too funny.
It seemed funny.
So for most wrestling fans, probably like yourself, WWE is very much like the Beatles in a way, or like Rolling Stones. It's kind of WWE always brings people into the organization. You don't hear that many people saying, "Oh, it was Progress that brought me into pro wrestling." It's usually WWE, and
yeah, for sure.
So as we it brings you into the genre. So as we get older and we evolve more, we start to go to other ways. We go to lucha libre, we go to death matches, Japan, whatever. So in that same thinking, are we starting to see that evolution of your character? Because you've kind of gotten away from the whole Tory kind of deal, and you've kind of been more, you've kind of got away that. So is that just part of the evolution, or are you systematically not wanting to like relate yourself with one party?
So the thing is, like, number one, I've never ever as the guy behind Spike or as Spike have ever openly admitted to him being a Tory. I've never ever done that. That is what's really interesting about him, is that he was originally just meant to be a privileged dickhead who didn't apologize for the fact that he was privileged, and was like, well, I am, if that's what I am, if that's what you think.
It became its own thing without your input, really. And then
the fans put the fans put Tory on it. So I was like, well, if this is it, I'm just going to ride this, because obviously it was just right place, right time, and I thought, and there was a lot of disdain across the world for people like him, or people like that. I'm just sort of like moving away from. I'm not really moving away from that kind of aspect of him. It's more just about making him a person. Like he's, I think if you stick with that, it's always just like one shade, isn't it? I want him to be able to, I like him to be malleable, and I think he is malleable. I think you can put him in any situation and he'll get heat. Like people will always hate him regardless of any situation. I've only ever once been cheered, and that was because I was in a death match and I was tagging with Jimmy Havoc, and I just held onto his metal-studded coattails. There's no, so in terms of, I think I'm just sort of bringing, I consider him to be the posh boy gimmick of the modern day. So I think everybody does posh boy gimmicks, and it's all like hand behind backs, waving, talking like the Queen, blah, 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 which is fine.
Yeah.
But that's not.
But it doesn't define the character. Just like death matches don't define Spike Trivet. It's different shades. Like that was a good comparison. Yeah, but there's more to. Yeah, exactly. But there's more to privileged and posh people than that. There's not people like that. Like my girlfriend and all of my wrestling friends, they all say that I'm really posh. I was born in Cambridge. I was raised in Cambridgeshire. I went to a private school that was, the very basis of it was about 1,000 years. It was proper red brick and all of that kind of stuff. Like, that's the reality of that runs through me. But, no one is like that. No one is that gimmick. And nobody is like that much of a gimmick. And I wanted to. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do the modern version. Like, I'm going to do, this is what people hate about, this is what I can come out and I can grab a mic and I can wear a fur and I can tell you that I went fox hunting earlier. And that's a British tradition. If anybody doesn't know, which is horrible. But if I can say, like, I've been fox hunting, and you clearly fucking haven't. Do you know what I mean? Like, you clearly did not go and hunt that earlier in the day. But people will go boo because they know they have to. But if you come out and you go, I have everything, and I'm not sorry for it at all. I'm not sorry for it. In fact, it's your jealousy that you have to deal with. I don't have to deal with anything.
And while you're so blinded by your own deficiency in your own life, I'm going to take everything in this fucking industry because you're blinded by your own jealousy. So fuck you. People will just be like, no, no. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just will. It's just about poking a little bit of reality into it.
I think that's
where I'm going to take
important part of wrestling, because reality.
I feel like I'm taking.
No, what do you feel like?
I was going to say, like, I feel like I'm taking all of your questions and taking them on like a massive tyrant. I feel like I'm really sorry.
No, that's totally fine. I find it interesting that you talk about reality, because some of the best moments as wrestling fans had reality in the storylines. So like Vince McMahon and Stone Cold, it was like, he hated his boss and he got to, flip off his boss. And then you got the whole CM Punk storyline that brought a lot of people back, where he was, going to leave his contract and stuff. So stuff like that, reality is a really big key in things. Like, it's, I think it helps out. It helps to bring some validity, or make you really, because it's harder to suspend your disbelief in a more modern time when, you can follow and talk to wrestlers and, and tweet with them and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder to
I agree. It's odd, isn't it? It's really odd. It's really odd. Like, it's in an industry that's so based around trying to entertain you. I think there's like, if you watch a movie or a TV show, that's just an industry that's or a play or whatever, a musical. That's an industry that's like just trying to entertain you, and most of the people, and pretty much all the people who watch those things, are happy to suspend their disbelief. But when it comes to wrestling, it's exactly the same thing. We just want to entertain you, but it comes, but we have to work a lot harder. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to work so much harder to get people to emotionally invest in what's going on, and that's all I care about. I just want you to emotionally invest. I'm obviously, like, behind the scenes. I'm trying as hard as I can to, I'm at the moment, I'm trying very hard to change my body shape, and I'm training as much as I can under Eddie Dennis and Dazzling Darrell Allen and people like that and stuff. But, like, I think I just want people to emotionally invest in things, and I think a little bit of reality and a little bit of satire is just what Brit Wres needed. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it.
So this is a really oddball question, but I'm going to ask you,
go on. If
you had a match that you had to go through with, and you had your opponent as the Queen, and you were tasked to choose a gimmick for the match against the Queen, what would be the gimmick of your choice? So we've got ladder matches, we've got death matches, we've got throw something on a pole match you could do.
Right. Okay. So this is we're talking about Queen Elizabeth.
That's correct. Yes, you have to fight her. We're talking
the real Queen.
Yeah. This is just something that happens. You have to do so, and you have to choose the gimmick. It's a weird, strange bit of fate. But what would your gimmick match be?
A corgi on a pole match. So yeah, it'd be a corgi on a pole match, because she's old, isn't she? So she couldn't she'd struggle to get up the turnbuckle, but she'd struggle to get up the turnbuckle because she's old, but she'd obviously want to, because she's so invested in the corgis. I'm pretty sure somebody told me recently that's the only offense that you can be hung for now, is killing the Queen's corgis. So I don't know whether that could be absolute bollocks, but I feel like that would be it. It would be, and there'd be so much emotion in it, wouldn't it? Because it would just be me climbing up and being like, oh, and she would be. But who would be the face in that match? That's what I want to know.
Right before you get up to the corgi, you could give a little pet before you actually take it down.
Just
digging
just
into
give a little pet.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's brilliant.
I'd be like, oh yeah, oh there you are, Queen. Yeah, you are, Queenie. Oh, and she's like, get off, and I'm like, and then I win it, and then I pull the corgi down, and then everyone's like, oh no, and I give the corgi to her because obviously it's a dog, and everyone's like, oh God, and she's like, oh, thank you, young man, and then I just fucking hit her in the face, and everyone's like, oh, yeah.
Then Prince Philip comes up in a car,
Yeah.
just walks out like Terminator because he won't die apparently. So my friend Athers,
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but it takes him like, go on.
oh, sorry. So my friend Athers, who goes to a ton of shows, I think you've spoken to him once or twice before. He says,
Yeah.
He says, once you and your Do Not Resuscitate cohorts achieve your mission statement, I fully expect you to turn on the other three, especially Drew. Is it a case of the enemy of your enemy is my friend?
Yeah. I think that's a very eloquent way of putting it. I think I think that's it. I think it's about, the story is about us banding together to remove people who are taking our spot and doing it by force because they're refusing to go. And I think we're just trying to loosen up the card so that we can have those spots and fight each other. I don't think that me and Drew have settled anything. Me and Drew have Drew put me through a mirror.
Yeah, that's
Drew put me through a mirror and I lost. Yeah, he put me through a mirror and I lost 6 weeks of my career. I still have a scar on my leg from it. We have a lot of unfinished business, but we're never going to get a chance to if the card's full. Because I think our feud, another blow off is, it's too important to be done in a car park.
Okay, well said. I like that. So,
Thanks.
With the Brexit thing happening, whether it is happening or not, we have no idea. Do you think that this could actually cause you some trouble getting to the U.S. and doing some stuff overseas?
What, just in terms of all wrestlers?
Well, yeah, for British wrestlers
all British wrestlers, you mean?
Yeah, British wrestlers who want to come to the U.S. Do you think it's going to make it harder if this actually goes through?
Oh, I don't know. I've never come across. I sadly have not had the opportunity to come to the US yet, so I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I don't think it would be a problem to go overseas. TK Cooper and I will travel, and together we've gone to places together, and he just has to stand in the non EU line, which just takes an extra hour. I think that's just what will happen to us, which is sad. I'll extend my commute by an hour.
Jeez. So as far as America goes, who is somebody over here that you'd like to feud with or fight with that you haven't had a chance to fight with yet?
Over there with you guys?
Yeah, an American wrestler or somebody in the States who you may not have had a chance to fight yet, but you would like to. Who is a name or a couple of names you might want to face? I was thinking MJF because you guys are very similar in a different type, in a way.
Yeah, I feel like if me and MJ, I feel like if me and MJF were to be in a match together, I feel like we'd probably tag together. I feel like that would probably be more successful over here than it would in the UK, because I think he's better known in the UK than I am in the US. I would very much like to work with him. I have a really funny idea for a tag spot that we could have, which would essentially be me just put the guy on the floor, and then MJF gets up onto the second rope, and I just spray aftershave into the air, and he just jumps through it to hurt them. That's just an idea I have. If he hears this, then I want to know what he thoughts on it, MJF.
I think you could do the same spot with Session Moth in a way.
Yeah, that would be funny. Yeah,
but with some like Axe spray or something.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah, over here we call it links. Yeah, just like some dirty links. Who's over there that I'd really like to wrestle? I would love to wrestle Sami Callihan. I'd love to work with Sami Callihan. I'd love to wrestle Ricky Shane Page. I'd love to wrestle Darby Allin. But I'd also, but those are guys that like have like deathmatch connotations. It's not necessarily deathmatch connotation. They're just guys I think are polar opposites to me, and would be good. Like I'm not too familiar with a load in the American scene, but I'd really just like to wrestle anyone. I'm not fussy. I just want to wrestle. More wrestling, please.
Yes.
Like that's what me and TK's motto at the moment, I think. Yes. More wrestling, please.
And as a fan, we want more of you guys too.
Oh, great.
My friend MJ tweeted back to us today, and he says, as a performer on the rise, who are a few other names that Spike would say to keep an eye out for?
Ooh. That's MJ from Brighton, isn't it?
His handle is You Total Cult.
Yeah, smug bastard. Yeah, I know him. Yeah, smug bastard with his mustache.
With his mustache.
It's different. It's difficult, isn't it? Like the stuff like that. I mean, like it's difficult because somebody of my level would never have the same level of success even 5 years ago. Would I? Because exposure's just nowhere near as strong. Was nowhere near as strong. Exposure to wrestling is so strong now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, and booking. It's all about booking as well, isn't it? Like I could tell you I know people who I really think that you should look out for, but I don't see them being booked in a way that will help them anytime soon. I mean, I guess like, and that's not a knock on anybody. That's just an observation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Connor Mills you need to look out for Connor Mills. You must look out for him. I think he's coming. I think he's actually coming to the US for Mania weekend.
Oh, great.
If anybody doesn't know who he is, then you will do eventually. So you might as well get on it now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's coming to Mania weekend, and I think and New York as well. So I think if anyone's looking for a little mini Chris Hero strong style nuthead, then I think he's the one you need to look for.
Yeah.
He's definitely one to look out for. I really, 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 really think that TK Cooper is the most underrated wrestler in the UK. I want to say right here. I want to say all my friends like Damon Moser. I'll just reel them off like Damon Moser, Chuck Mambo, Carl Ashmore, Big Wavy, Roy Johnson, Candy Floss. Candy Floss is actually another one. Like you really should look out for her. But I really think that TK Cooper is the most underutilized. Oh, and Jack Sexsmith as well. Sorry. Oh, yeah. God, he would have absolutely hated that.
Resurgence champion, by the way. Yeah.
I know, but he's listening to this. Like, if he's listening to it right now, and he's like, I can't believe that you forgot me.
I'll have to edit it and put his name first.
Oh no, don't leave it as it is. Leave it as it is. But for me, I think like the rest of them will find their way up. But like, I really think that TK Cooper is just the most underutilized and just one of the most underrated wrestlers in the UK. He can do it all. He's got personality. He's athletic as fuck. He's flippy. He's strong. He's powerful. He's got charisma. He's also just like, he's just he's like, we like in our friendship group, we often say like he's the guy we love to he's like the nastiest guy that we all like. He's like the worst person we were like, because he's such a wind-up merchant. Like, he just loves to wind people up and prank people and stuff. But like, he's just such an awesome dude. Like, he just fucking loves wrestling. He was at the top of his game in like 2017, 2018 last year. Like, him and Trav were having the best tag matches I've ever seen, and then he went and broke his leg by accident. Obviously didn't break on purpose, but then he like broke his leg, and he had all this time out, and and it kind of killed his momentum a little bit. And I think if there's somebody if there's somebody in this country that I know who is just so ready to be invested in and so ready to blow your fucking mind and wants it and is hungry for it and loves wrestling more than anything, I couldn't, and is such an awesome dude. I couldn't say more good things about TK Cooper.
A really cool story that I want to share that just happened was when I spoke to him about 2 weeks ago, and he came on the show, and it couldn't have been an easier conversation. He told me about, at the end of the show, I gave him the plugs and everything, and he told me about, he's getting some shirts he's getting rid of. He's doing a clearance. And I picked one up after the show, and I put a little message in the order. I said, hey, throw in a sticker if you have any free ones, right? And this dude, TK Cooper, not only gave me some stickers, but he gave me a signed 8x10. Just out of nowhere. And when I opened it up, I wouldn't shut up about it, and I was tweeting, and he's just such a good, genuine, nice guy, man. He's
he
tremendous.
is. Yeah, he's just such a nice dude, and not that any of the rest of my friends don't know whatever, but he just fucking loves wrestling. And he was on the cusp of something so amazing, and it kind of just went away because he broke his leg, and there's no better time than now. So I would say Connor Mills, because like you just need to keep an eye out for him. But everybody, please get behind TK Cooper, because it's about time. I would wrestle him every day if someone would let me. So yeah, TK Cooper.
So before we go, I do want you to give your plugs. Where can we get your sweet DNR merch? And you got a new shirt out, I saw. And your Twitter, and where can we find you on the interwebs?
So you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter at Spike Trivet 1. My big cartel, where all my merch is spiketrivet.bigcartel.com. I have a new t-shirt out, which is the No Future Dates t-shirt, which was released on the basis of a promo that I did. I've also got other t-shirts for sale, but I also actually have a new t-shirt that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Ooh. That I was going to release before I did the promo, and then I did the promo and then decided I had to release something else. So I've got another little thing in my back pocket, and it's got the word "spoilt rotten" written on it, and some horrible, disgusting designs, and I'm really excited for everyone to see it.
Fantastic. Spike, thanks so much for spending a little time.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It must mean something's going right.
Hang on the line just for a second. We'll shut it down. But thanks, guys, for listening. Please follow me at Wilfred Watches. And please jump on the Patreon if you get the opportunity. If you want to support me, I appreciate it. And thank you so much, guys, for listening today.